We're going to get started here because it's already 7:30, and I know you guys want to hear my voice for the next, hopefully, only about 30 minutes here. My name is Mr. Mayeski, for those of you who do not know who I am. I'm the athletic director here, 5 through 12. So 5th graders have the opportunity to do cross country as well as middle school wrestling. 6th graders can do the same as well as track. And then 7th through 8th, obviously with the 5th and 6th graders. But I'm sorry, 7th and 8th graders can do football, basketball, boys and girls, volleyball, and obviously the other sports that are mixed in as well. High school, cross country, boys soccer, and football. In the fall, girls volleyball, cross country, and girls golf. And then obviously winter sports, we have wrestling, boys and girls, basketball, boys and girls, hockey, boys and girls, and dance team. Springtime, baseball, softball, track, boys and girls, boys golf, girls soccer, we're missing that one there, we got to go up there, and so forth. So again, lots of opportunities for everybody to get involved and do some different things as we go. Again, I'll have little jokes as we go through here. I figure we start with this one and pick on Mr. Selman there. So, but anyway, we're going to get ready to rock and roll here. There's some information that is actually in the code that we'll go through, just more reminders. There's some new stuff that we got to talk about as we go through here. But I'm going to start off with my emphasis as an athletic director. Wins and losses are always important, but I'm never going to tell a coach that they cannot coach here if they're not doing this. They lose every game this season, but they're working on making our athletes become better individuals. That's what this is all about. Okay? So character. Obviously you see it up here, you see it here, it's kind of scattered throughout the school. As you notice, the school is changing, the school will change again, and that will be back up, and we'll have that in our classrooms in various places. Teaching character and obviously role modeling character is something that I emphasize with our coaches. Okay? Teaching these different traits besides other ones are very, very valuable. Every senior that plays a sport will leave here with a plaque in their hand justifying the character trait that they best exhibited during their senior season. Coaches look at it, they pick it, they let me know what it is, and then we put that together and we present them plaques for their character traits that they best exhibited during their senior seasons. Okay? Belief, enthusiasm, attitude, vision, effort, respect, sacrifice. I did not come up with those. That was done by the coaching staff my first year here. We sat down, everybody that wanted to be involved with it came, and we went through all of our letters, obviously Beavers, and we picked the best traits that we felt that were going to be best for us to teach to our athletes. Okay? So that's what this is all about. You can look up on the board there, it says respect. That's something that we as ADs went about and talked about and came together with that. You can see our goals, all right, being positive, being respectful. So that's what we're going to do as we move forward with our sports as we go. Before I screw this all up. You guys want to watch it again?
I start by writing up everything I need to get done and a list for you. Yeah?
If there's one thing I could change in the sports culture, down all the way to the amateur level, all the way up to the professional ranks, is this is going to sound simple, but character development. And the reason is the more mature you are with high integrity and character, the better athlete you're going to be. And that's the biggest block to that I see as success long term, both on the athletic field and the transition into the real world. Is I have this really unique view to see in our day-to-day basis where we manage money for professional athletes and founders and CEOs of startup companies. And so we have the privilege of seeing some of the most talented people in the world. And the things that usually unravel their careers have nothing to do with the skill set on the field. It comes down to a lack of maturity and a lack of character and integrity, where they overload or they get into a situation that they don't know how to handle the adversity, or there's a relationship that breaks down. And really, that all culminated back to youth sports. Is at the end of the day, let's never forget it's a privilege to play the sport, and we have respect for the game. But we're all equal human beings. That really, how do we treat one another and the way that we treat ourselves with respect should never be overlooked. And that goes for not only the student athlete, but I think if parents take a step back and really understand the goal is to help my children to be successful adults, not necessarily the most successful baseball player. That's something that gets lost, that we see a lot of, that I think it should be mandatory character development training of all organizations that are in youth sports.
That reminds me of that. So, he made some really good points about making sure that we emphasize, the character part of it. But character is going to take our athletes so much farther in life than maybe winning a regional title, or maybe going to state, or winning the state title. Okay, but their character as they move forward is what's going to drive them, and what's really going to get them to be in the places that they really want to be. So, hence why I want to put a lot of emphasis on that as we're going forward. Some of you may be able to read it or not. I try to make it as big as I can, and they gave me a skinny, narrow projector slide or projector screen there this time, but if that resembles me or what. But anyway, be more concerned with your character than your reputation, because your character is what you really are, while your reputation is really what others think you are. And this one is very, very true. As a person of more years of experience on this planet, that is very, very true. Okay? The hard times that you go through build character, making you a much stronger person. So again, if you win every single game, is that really going to make you a better person? Setbacks are the ones that really decide if you're going to move forward. Sorry, I don't know what puns or jokes is. Bet you're glad I brought Skipper along with us now. That would be me. I'd be in the woods looking for balls and stuff. Try to pick on receptacle with yourself. Alright, moving on to some other things. We're going to go through these pretty quick because this is what you should have read the code already. But some topics that are occasionally discussed with Mr. Majewski. Sometimes, some years are more often than not. Put them all up there. These are the ones, obviously, that we emphasize for code violations. So again, consumption or possession of illegal substances, I can put it all on there. Guilt by association, willful misconduct, or social media online representation. So if you're consuming, you're possessing illegal things, vapes, marijuana, alcohol, cigarettes, whatever it might be, tobacco, obviously, if I find out about it and get evidence of it, we're going to have conversations and we'll take care of that moving forward. What does guilt by association mean? Guilt by association means that you might have been at a party or at an event where some of this stuff is taking place with more people of your age. Again, family gatherings, I mean, everybody has their choices for that kind of stuff, but it's more importantly when a bunch of young people get together, and all of a sudden now the alcohol's out, or whatever else is out. And you may not have done it, but you didn't leave, you stayed there. That's guilt by association. Okay? Willful misconduct, that means you're screwing around in classes, you're not being the athlete or the respectable character person that you're supposed to be doing. Consistently, you're in the principal's office. Most of the time, if it happens more than once or twice, you come over and see me anyway, and then we have a conversation about this. Okay, and then if that doesn't change, you got to come back, and then obviously we're going to talk about maybe not playing some events, and that might trigger you to make a decision. Social media online representation, that just means you're doing stuff online. That's not school appropriate, and we'll have a conversation about what is and what's not, and there might be some other things that that happen with us. So if those topics come to me, here's our results. If it's the first time that you've done this, and you figured out that all the stuff is there, you call me up, you call Mr. Hopkins up, you say, hey, I did this and this and this. Within 24 hours of what had happened, you get a reduction in your suspension. 10% means 10% of a season. So if there are 10 games or 10 events in a season, that means you're going to miss one. Okay? If you don't self-refer yourself, and I get this information from somebody else, or I find out about it, or Mr. Hopkins finds out about it, or a teacher comes and talks to me about it, and I bring you in, question you, and you fess up to what you did, that's a 20% one. So again, 10 games, you can do the math, you be sitting 2 events. Again, you're hurting yourself, and you're also hurting your team. So again, the choices are yours. Second discussion, okay, second time it happens, meaning that you did it once, you already had a code violation out of it. Second time, that means you're sitting 50% of the season. So, basketball, we have 24 basketball games, you miss half of them. If you already played some of them, you're still missing 12. So, whatever it might be, that's what's going to happen as you go. Third discussion, you're out for 1 full calendar year when we have our discussion about what took place. In my 8 years, I've had 3 of these. Okay, so 1 full calendar year, you get to sit, you can go to practice, you can do all those different things, but you don't need to play. No participation during unique tech events. Never had one of these yet. If that comes up, you are done. Okay? So again, choices are yours. Discussions will happen. So forth. Now, if you do happen to get code violations, these 3 things will be taking place as well. Either prom court or homecoming court. This is also through grades. We'll talk about grades in a second. You cannot be captains of your teams, and you cannot leave school early for the event if you have a code violation. Prom and homecoming court lasts for about, and actually the captains last for a year. Cannot leave school early, this happens during the code violation. Okay, so for a full year, you do this during your junior year, and you have a code, you cannot be on prom, you cannot be on homecoming courts, any of those types of things. So again, some more stipulations as we go through. If we have no discussions, you get to participate fully, and you get 2 thumbs up. So again, those are the types of things that will be happening if you make some choices that are not so good. I think Jack always has this on his wall. Anyway. Academics. That's another part of the code. Obviously, you need to have passing grades to be able to play. Right now, the code states that there are 4 grade checks throughout the semester. Okay? We check it at 4.5 weeks, 9 weeks, and 13.5. Recently, we've been going at 2 weeks, just to give you an idea where we're sitting after the first 2 weeks. And then I talk to the athletes and say, here's what you got. At 4.5 weeks, if you're still failing, then you're going to be ineligible until you get your grades back to passing. Same thing at 9 weeks, 13.5. Coaches have access to the grades, so I can call in and say, hey, can you check our grades of my kids? This is Serbiak, can pull them up and let them know what's going on as well. So again, it's always being checked so that way you're there. Now, if you're failing at any of these grade checks, you are ineligible until that grade goes back up. And we were chasing around kids this year every time just to get their stuff back up, and eventually they did. But again, until they get the grades back up, they had to miss events. So again, they can go to practice and so forth. But those coaches, if you are failing, more likely you're going to be sitting there doing your homework instead of participating. So that way you can get caught up with the things that you're missing. Okay? End of semester grades are a little different story. If you fail 1 class at the end of a semester, you are automatically sitting 1 event in the next semester. Okay? If you're failing multiple classes after the end of a semester, then you're going to be out 15 school days after the grades are posted. So in the springtime, or in the wintertime in January, we don't post our grades for about a week after the season's over, but as soon as you have that failing grade, you're pretty much out. And you were probably more of a high failing up to that point anyway. But then 15 days, so if you're a wrestler, you're pretty much done for the rest of the year because that runs into the playoffs. Basketball, you might be able to squeeze in a couple more games till the end. But again, once we get to those 15 days, you have to be passing all your classes in order to go. Springtime is even worse because then it runs into the fall. So then it's a matter of how do we do this? So we have August 4th, 5th for football, all right? And if you fail the class, you miss the first game, that's an easy one. If you miss multiple classes, then it's 15 school days. So school day doesn't start until September 2nd this year, Labor Day. So think about that. So again, grades are pretty important. You are a student first, athlete second. All right, communication. We'll go back one because this is the most important one. Anything going wrong, this should not come from mom and dad. Athletes, you are now becoming young adults. Okay? You have a responsibility. If something's not going your way, you need to be the one talking to your coaches. All right? My sons, as an AD, I have a tougher role to try to shut my mouth when I, think I should say something. But I make my kids do the talking. They need to be the ones that are advocating for themselves. And it's teaching them to stand up for what they feel is right, but more importantly, to have a civil conversation with their coach about something that they don't feel is going right. And as a coach, I much more appreciated coming from my athletes than I did hearing from mom and dad. And most of the time, when mom and dad came and talk to me, or would come talk to me, I said, your son or daughter has an issue, he needs to come and see me. If I'm treating them badly, then you and I can have a conversation. But if there's something that they don't like, I need to have that conversation with them. And most of them will turn around and go away, and then there's someone who eventually come and talk to me. So, or daughter, or bring my sport, I was coaching. But my point is that's the number one thing. Okay? Your son or daughter has an issue, you tell them, go talk to your coach. They're the ones that need to be communicating that out. All right, now, if it's something really, really major, then I need to be stepped in, and then parents call me. Don't call the coaches, call me first. I will take care of the situation, I'll hear your side, I'll talk to them. And a lot of times we can decipher things without having a big blow-up between the coaching staff and parents. Okay? And there has been many times that this took place, and I've been able to not calm things down on one end and get more information about it. And one time, one parent, him and I were having a conversation about this stuff, and they just said, why don't you go watch a game, but don't be a dad, be a fan. I really want you to just watch your son play, because he thought he was an all-star hockey player, and he was an average hockey player. Okay, but his dad thought he was an all-star. He should be playing this, that, and the other. And the dad called me back and he says, I really want to thank you. And I thought he was yelling at me. But he just said thank you. It was you opened my eyes to a different side of things. I was watching it as a parent instead of watching it as a fan. And I realized, yeah, I love my kid to death, but he's not as good as some of the other ones. That's probably why he's not playing as much. Or he needs to work harder to get better and talk about those types of things. Instead of going to the coach and start yelling at him, how come my kid's not playing, blah, 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 blah. All right? Athletes, again, you can come to me, something's going on, I've had students come and talk to me about some things, and it helps. Because sometimes I don't get to be in every single place that I need to be able to see all the different things that happen. If it gets beyond that point, we can't solve the issue, then we'll get together with whoever needs to be, parents, coaches, AD, be involved with it as much as possible. And again, beyond that point, it just goes up the ladder, and usually at this point it ends. But I've never got to this point. So the key is just athletes talk to your coaches. Positive communication, parents, this is for you. All right, you got some positive things, feel free. Get all of them, say, hey, thank you for doing this, or thank you for that, or really appreciate you pushing my kid, and making them a better person, all that good stuff. Great game, whatever it might be. Those are always great things to talk about and hear from parents. Now, negative communication, all right? Again, that comes to me first, all right? It takes a little pressure off of them. They're worried about what's going on. They're worried about your kids, trying to get them better. And if there's something that you're not quite, understanding, or something's a little bit of an issue, get a hold of me. Like I said, we can have a little bit easier that way. If we need to get together, we'll get together and have a conversation. So again, any of that kind of stuff, bring to me first. Let an email, phone call, whatever it might be, you contact me first. All right, this particular thing is more about the scheduling of games. We've got a system that we use as ADs throughout the whole entire state. It's actually called Arbiter now. It doesn't really matter the name of it. It's our scheduling tool. And parents can have instant access to anything that Ms. Serbiak or myself change in there. So we reschedule a game, you can get an email, a text, whatever you want to get, and it can come right to you immediately as soon as I hit the button, and I get the send notification, which sends out to everybody that's signed up for it. Okay? Again, you're not worried about that. Coaches will set it up. Your sons or daughters will let you know what's going on. But this is a really easy way. Plus, you can see game schedules and everything on this particular website that is there. If you go to our district website, all right, and this obviously isn't the main page, but this is our athletics page. And if you go to the menu on the main page, it'll say Cumberland Athletics. Click on that. This will pop up. And down here, there's some live streaming stuff and all kinds of things that are going on. But right here is an athletic resource button that you can click. And there are some different links there. We're going to have more stuff out there. Something I'm going to talk about here in a second. But these things will pop up. Codes there, physical form, alternate year card, concussion, cardiac arrest form, which you're probably picking up or have picked up or will pick up before you leave for anybody that needs it for next year. But on the very bottom is a PDF of a notification sign. There's a step-by-step process. There's some forms over there I copied out for you to take if you feel like you want to get signed up for this. And what it comes up to is this. And again, this was the link I probably need to have David put on the website, so you can just click on that and go right to where you need to go. But it's a step-by-step set of directions showing you specifically what you have. This is the part here that you will have access to, which is our calendar. This is our athletic calendar. Everything that we have is stuck in here, as long as I remember to do it. I'm just kidding. Conference games, anything we enter in for games is all in here, and you have free access to it 24/7, 365. But the nice part about it is you can set up your notifications. So again, spring weather, you know how crazy that could be. I cancel a game at 1 o'clock. I have to communicate it with about a whole 900 bunch of different people, try to get to the coaches so they can get it out to you, where if you just sign up for this and make a change, and you already know the game's canceled, you can change your plans and do whatever else for that particular night. So again, it's just an easier access for you guys to be able to see our athletics calendar as well as the post notification site up as well. I know we don't have curling here, but I thought this was kind of a fun one. And then I think this is the top guy in curling, I'll skip. That's my wife, that's me. All right, these are the things that I really need to emphasize here. The first one's not so big, it's just a little bit of change, but there is some new things that happened in the WIA this year that got passed. One of them I voted for, one of them I did not. I'll tell you which one it is here in a little bit. The first one is about contact days. During the summertime, coaches have only so many, or used to only have so many days that they could have contact with athletes. Everybody was pretty much 5. There was 5 days. Some sports there's unlimited. Baseball, softball, for some odd reason, they have a few more. But everybody else was 5. And around us, Illinois, Minnesota, everybody else was wide open, Wild West. They could do whatever the heck they want. So the WIA polled athletes, parents, administrators, coaches, everybody, and ask them about what are their thoughts about these contact days. Obviously, the coaches want to have more contact with the kids during the summertime. But if you look at it, it's only about 8.5 to 9 weeks. It's a really short period of time. So what they did is they proposed this. This is the one I voted against because I don't feel that unlimited contact days are good for our kids, especially our multi-sport athletes who are doing many different things, plus band, plus working, plus trying to be a kid, where we can open it up and, let's just say, for example, our volleyball coach who's sitting over here has practice every single day of the week for all 8 weeks, okay? Number one, I wouldn't let that happen. Number two, I wouldn't let that happen. And it's not good for the kids. You're going to burn them out. They're not going to want to be playing you during the regular season. So anyway, so it passed. Probably about a 3-1 vote. But so what happens now is, as of June 1st, if the sports are not done, or if they're done, we can have unlimited contact with our kids until June 30th. And then there's a week off. There's a grace period over the 4th of July, and then from 7/7 to 7/31. Football has to be done a week earlier because they need a break before they start the regular season to go through. Okay? That being said, that's not happening here. There is no, it's unlimited based upon the WIA. We can place it at a local level. And we're going to, probably have a few more than what we've had in the past. Maybe 7, 8. We're not going to go above 10 because I think that's just way too much. And a lot of things can be open gyms where the kids can choose to come and go if they want. Gives them opportunities to do what they need to do. So anyway, just to let you know that that's something that's new, but again, from 7 to 1 to 7 to 6, there is no contact with kids, with the exception of lifting weights and any type of open gym. You can have an open gym if you'd like, but right now, coaches haven't kind of scheduled for those things, and I don't think I'm going to allow. I think that week is a great week to be off. We will continue on BFS through that time, so if kids want to come in with weights, that's up to them, obviously, on the 4th of July. But we'll get opportunities for kids to come in and do what they need to do. Questions on the first one? And again, we as administrators will probably talk a little bit more. Maybe we'll have a set number that we're going to go with our district. And as ADs, we talked about it earlier. We said, 10 is probably a good number, but then when we had our last meeting after this got passed, everybody was like, well, let's just see how it goes for the summer, and we'll talk later on. So, sometimes it drives me nuts, but it's a matter of, we talk about one thing and then also they change your mind, that their coaches are back in their ear and everybody else. But anyway, the last one is the NIL. How many have heard of NIL before? If you haven't been watching college sports, it's probably where you're not hearing it. Kids are making oodles and oodles of money through this NIL situation, using your name, your likeness, or your image, or an image of you, to profit. Okay? And here's 3 examples of that. It's a legal concept known as right to publicity. This gives a person the right to control the commercial use of their personal brand to make money. So some examples, I know it's a little bit smaller here, but personal appearances, endorsements of a business, products, or services, sale of a personal brand merchandise, representation in video games, featured coach or speaker at an event, autographs. Last year, the year before, probably you didn't see a whole lot at the NCAA level. New Balance, shoe commercial, Cooper Flag, Duke won the national championship. No? Lose? I can't remember. It's 1-1, 2-1. Doesn't matter. Anyway, that's right. They didn't lose to. Who did they lose to? Who? Oh, I used to. That's right. See, I was paying attention to that game, right? Anyway, my point is Cooper Flag is a highly touted freshman, and he is probably making more money than his head basketball coach through endorsements. Okay, so he's using his name, he's using his image. You notice in his commercials, if you see him in any commercials, what is he wearing? Duke Blue Devil attire. So you personally can do the same thing as Cooper Flag, but there's some stipulations. This is where the difference comes in between the NCAA and what was passed at the WIA. It says an athlete forfeits amateur status in a sport by capitalizing on athletic fame by receiving money, compensation, endorsements, or gifts of monetary value in affiliation or connection with activities involving the student's school team, school, conference, or WIAA. Scholarships to institutions of higher learning are specifically exempted. So if you earn a scholarship, you're good to go. You can't get that until you graduate anyway. So the deal here is this provision is not intended to restrict the right of any student to participate in NIL commercial endorsements, provided there is no school team, no Cumberland, no Hunter the North, or no WIA affiliation to it. So technically, as long as you abide by this and the stipulations, you could be at a New Balance commercial making lots of money for yourself. Okay? Alright? So, what are the prohibited activities? Okay? Again, no use of your school, Cumberland, no Beaver, no logos, no anything affiliated with our school, no items. You couldn't take a basketball out of here and go take a picture with it, and you got caught, you're going to be in violation, and I'll tell you what you can do to get out of it. Okay? Conference, WIA, anything. No uniforms, no logos, no items, anything. You cannot have any of that if you're going to an NIL situation. The other thing you can't do is illegal substances. So you cannot promote tobacco, alcohol, vapes, adult industry, weapons, etc. And there's some other things, there's more that are within that. Again, if you would do that, you would be in violation, and you would not be allowed to play until certain things would take place. Alright? You cannot get into an NIL deal contingent on your performance or achievement. So for instance, I'm going to use our 6'9" guy from last year. If someone would came to him and say, hey, if you scored 40 points a game, I'll give you, $500. Can't do that, right? Or I'll use one of our baseball players. If he hit 3 home runs in the season, I give you $1,000, or I give you free pizza, or I give you something else like that. Because the fact that he's doing it as a performance thing, he would not be able to make money. You cannot interfere with your academic responsibilities. You can't miss school, you can't miss practices, or you can't miss games. If you do, you're in violation. This is the one that's a little tricky. This is the one that really is going to stop the recruiting process from one school to the next, or for a business in our town to retain a very valuable athlete. No people associated with the school, donors that have donated any time the athlete has been in school. If that would happen, they're in violation. Okay, so what does that mean? Let's say, for instance, Ace Hardware donated something to our school. All right, I'm using my kid for example. They want to put my kid up on a billboard, obviously without a school attire or anything else like that. But because they donated to our school within the 4 years that he had been here, it would be a violation of the NIL policy. Okay, so again, what does this mean? What is a person associated with the school? All right, here's your definitions. Don't laugh too loud. Coaches or athletes, current or former. So again, you're trying to promote your school, so if you're going to give somebody some compensation for doing what they really should be doing for free, you'll be in trouble. Parents, guardians, caregivers of current or former student athletes. They're not your own parent, obviously, because they're going to give you money for different things anyway. Alright? Booster club members. If you don't have a booster club, we have a bunch of associations, so there's something there to watch out for. Any type of alumni that graduated from our school. Spouses or relatives of coaches, teachers, and or other school employees. So again, trying to get athletes to stay here, or you're trying to get athletes to come. And that's what this is not allowed. Coaches who become employed. Coaches that are active applicants for coaching positions, and persons employed by companies or organizations who have donated to that particular school. So the question always comes up, what does it mean to donate? I don't know that yet. How much does it have to be? 3M obviously gives us some supplies for a school. A lot of businesses provide stuff within our facilities. If they donate something to prom, is that considered a donation? And my immediate answer is yes. So again, this is going to squelch a lot of the recruiting process and try to get people to come. Again, you can't interfere with any type of athletic obligation, so meaning you can't miss an event to go to this event to do that. And again, you cannot utilize a sports agent to make deals or take any commissions. So again, you can't hire me to promote you. I'm good at it because I'm a school employee, because that would be a violation of the whole thing. So what does that mean? It just means that there is opportunities out there for those energetic individuals that would like to make some money based upon their name, their image, and their likeness. Now the problem here is that they cannot run their own business. Say, for instance, some kid's a great YouTuber or whatever, and plays video games and puts the stuff all out there. Again, you can't have Cumberland stuff on, you can't have Run the North stuff, you can't have any WI stuff. But more importantly, you can't sell your own merchandise because now you're self-employed. And that actually is already in the WIA before this whole thing came into play. You would forfeit your amateur service. Now, someone might say, okay, what if I run my own lawn mowing service business? That's a little tricky, you probably would work around that. But my point is that you can't be self-employed as your high school. So, this is a bunch of stuff I just talked about, and again, we'll post this all on the website just so you guys can see it. And again, it's just allowing athletes and students to be creative, and try to go out there and make some money for yourself as you go through. Your responsibility as a student athlete, parents, understand the rules, and again, and just quickly provide those to you. The resources will be out there. We're going to put some more links on the website too, so you can see. I have a great webinar that people can watch. I'm hoping they can post it out there from this company called Influential Athlete, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. And they talk about a lot of these different things and give you more real-life examples that you can kind of take a look at as well. But again, find NIL deals if you want, execute on those deals, again, as long as they comply to what the WIA has here. My responsibility, obviously, to inform you about these changes, to allow you to be able to do this if you choose to do so. Again, the resources will be there to educate everybody, and any violations that come to my plate, then I obviously I have 3 reports into WIA. So here's the deal. If you go into some deal with business, they provide you money, it's against the rules. As long as you get your money back, you get your administrative status back. So if you screw up, in poor choice, or just didn't know the rules entirely, it's pretty simple. As long as you give everything back that you were provided, then you're good to go. There was an example of a kid that went overseas to Europe. I can't remember where I heard the story from, but it was a good reliable source. But he participated in some event, I think it was a run of some sort. He won. And he ended up winning like $150 or $200 or whatever it was. Someone found out about it. And it was in violation before this was taking place. And he had to get the money back. As soon as he had the money back, he was able to get back to his amateur status and be able to participate. So again, that's there. Influential Athlete is the company that we as a conference have decided to partner with for at least this next year to provide us with information, to provide us with resources, to provide to you guys. So that way then, if anybody has any questions about it, they're going to be kind of providing us with some of that. It's a resource for us to go to too if you have any questions prior to actually going to the WIA. Again, we'll have these kind of meetings we need to, but more importantly, that those resources we'll be able to take a look at as we go through. That would be nice. As a former pitcher, not just a belly injury. All right, athletic training services. We are very, very, very fortunate, and I hope this continues, because I try to treat Katie as best as I can, and Ashley when they're here, because not a lot of schools have what we have, where we have a trainer that's just here in Cumberland. She used to do Prairie Farmer and Turtle Lake and Cumberland, and then Carter was here for Wales. Wales had a couple, but then Carter took a job at Lux. She's just Lux trainer. And after, as of last year, first year? 2 years ago. Third year waiting by yourself. Yeah, so it's been a few years where so Turtle Lake lost a trainer and sort of Prairie Farm. So again, a lot of schools are scrambling. Sometimes they don't even have trainers at events because they don't have it like we have. So I'm very, very grateful for all the stuff that Katie does for our athletes. And actually, when she's here, and obviously, sometimes I have to step in because they're too busy doing other things. There's too many events going on. They have to be at the one that's a little bit higher priority, and Mr. Madison needs to carry the bag and have the ice and all that good stuff. And sometimes we have EMT people here for any type of injuries and so forth. But first of all, let's give her a round of applause because she does an awesome job of getting that to the field as quick as possible. And so again, they do a great job. What's the program we're using again? Healthy Roster. Healthy Roster, you guys probably signed up for that. I've got emails and notifications and all kinds of fun stuff through that as well. One thing that Katie also helped with this is in the past we've always had reduced rate physicals. And sometimes it's only June and July. So then it got to be like June, July, and August. And then last year I believe it was through December. And then this year they said, why don't we just open it up all year long? We still have people asking for physicals. So I'm assuming from now until whenever they stop doing it, it's going to be 24/7, 365, where you can call up, get a $40 physical, and you'll be good to go. Now, if you take your son or daughter for a yearly checkup, I learned this after Joy was probably a sophomore. If you do that every single year, that counts as a physical. So you just have to have a doctor fill out the paperwork, and you can have your physicals done already, taking you through your yearly checkups. So just for you guys that are doing that, that's one thing that you can, summertime stuff. This year, because of construction, as you can see, this is going to be really, really different here in about 8-9 days, probably like a week and a half or so. And there's going to be a lot of rubble all over the place, and a lot of things going to be changed around here. But we're still going to have lots of stuff for the kids. This gym will be available. We'll see how much. It all depends on what happens up there. We destroy that. We got to use these doors for big events. So next fall, we may not be having a lot of volleyball games in here. We have practices and stuff because we can get enough people out of here. But if we have, big crowds and so forth, we need fire escape and so forth. So we may be doing some things a little creatively. So be patient with that for any indoor types of things. And obviously, volleyball is what we have. But we're going to do our best to make sure we have things for our kids. In the summer, They're redoing the fitness center, they're gonna redo the roof and so forth, and they're gonna actually redo some good stuff inside there, so it's gonna be improved and better. But Endeavor will have the tent again like we've had in the past during the good old COVID years. And obviously the turf for speed agility things as we go through. If you signed up for summer school, you probably noticed some of these different times. I'm gonna throw them up here right now. The coaches tried this last year, they thought it went really well. So high school girls would go from 7 to 8 a.m. High school boys would 8 to 10 a.m. There'll be 2 shifts there. The coaches will sort them out once they get there for that first day and get through their lifting regimen and their speed agility stuff, the stretching, and then there's time to footballs or hit volleyballs or do whatever they want to do, soccer balls, anything on the turf that they want afterwards. 7th and 8th grade boys and girls, Coach Olson and Coach Rosenau have agreed to stay for an extra hour and start teaching you guys how to get into the weight room and some of the lifts and so forth that we're going to do. They'll be doing the same program as high school boys and girls, but just higher reps and lower weights, just to get them to get the fundamentals and get them excited about getting in the weight room and so forth. And then our football coaches and anybody else that we need to fill this spot, obviously the mornings are always great for people to go. And from 6 to 7:30, we're going to manage as well from Monday through Thursday. So that way they have an opportunity, if they can't come in the morning, they get an opportunity to come in and lift some weights and get after it. So again, those are the times that are there. You might just have the 8 to 10 a.m. sign up sheet. If you sign up, I think that was shut down already. But even if you didn't sign up, you can still come. Come there, we'll write your name down, we'll get you into the system, and we'll take attendance and all that good stuff for summer school. All right, anything that needs to be picked up? I did print out some of the notification handouts for the schedule that we have for athletics. Those will be over there. Grab those in the mail. Any team handouts will go there as well. Physical alternator card, concussion stuff. If you weren't able to grab it on the way in. Paperwork, try to get in by August 1st. It's so much easier. I know it's going to be kind of hectic because I think high school office is going to be in the middle school and Mr. Holder's room. Obviously, middle school office will be there. You can always turn stuff in there and pass it back and forth. But the sooner we get it in, the easier it is to get you in the system, and then you're ready to rock and roll. If you don't have your paperwork turned in, you're not practicing. Okay, so that's plain and simple. You'll sit and watch on the sidelines until you get your paperwork turned in. So everything needs to be in, whether it's your physical form or your alternate year card, depending on which one you have for this particular year, your concussion form, and form when you have cardiac arrest form, as well as your code. And your code conduct that you need to sign as you go through. So again, all those things need to be turned in. 3 final slots. Nutrition. That's something we don't really talk about a lot. I got a short video I want you to watch that'll provide you some information about, especially with athletes and actually parents. It's a good thing. Well, what should be going on before, during, and after many types of events?
Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about how to properly fuel your body as a high school athlete. In order to perform at your best, it's important to consider including foods in your diet, such as whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats, low-fat dairy products, as well as fruits and vegetables. But today we're going to look a little bit closer at what you should be eating before, during, and after your workout. Before working out, look for food items that contain carbohydrates and lean proteins. Simple carbohydrates will help to provide the body with energy, and protein will help to sustain that energy and support muscle function. Some food options to include would be yogurt, fruit, dried raisins, and even a sports drink. The closer it is to a workout, say 30 minutes beforehand, you want to keep your snack lower in fiber and lower in fat to help avoid any GI distress. If it's about 2 to 3 hours before your workout, you can consume a larger, well-balanced meal beforehand. Depending on the intensity and the duration of your workout, you might need some carbohydrates to help sustain your energy levels. Some great carbohydrates to have on hand include fruits, raisins, energy juice, as well as a sports drink. Following a workout, it's important to consume carbohydrates and lean proteins. Complex carbohydrates will help restore your energy levels, and lean protein will help your muscles to recover. You can have complex carbohydrates such as whole grains, whole wheat bread, whole wheat pasta, brown rice or quinoa, and lean proteins such as chicken, turkey, and fish, and eggs. It's important to also include fruits, vegetables, and healthy fats. If you can't have a full meal 1 to 2 hours following the workout, have a snack at least 30 minutes after. This can be something as simple as chocolate milk, yogurt, or a smoothie. And always remember to stay hydrated throughout the day, drinking water before, during, and after your workout.
Now, I know we don't always have access to all that stuff right away afterwards, but I've skied 25 burger miners. Most of those were full ones, all but 2, I think, which is about 30 miles. And when I train, if I don't have something prior to it, many times I've had to take a break. A couple times I walked where my body was fine, I just couldn't go. There was just no gas in the tank, So it is important to have some of that stuff. And again, I know the options may not be great, but the best thing is chocolate milk afterwards. There's sugar, lots of carbohydrates, lots of sugar. More important, there's the protein in there that you can have. So quick chocolate milk afterwards is always a good thing to have right away as you go. Parents, some things for you to think about as we go. This is actually by an NBA coach. He was also an NBA champion. His name is Steve Kerr with Golden State Warriors. Won several championships with the Bulls. When I watched his video, it's like it made me think a little bit, and I'll tell you a story about this afterwards.
A big piece of what PCA does is working with sports parents and getting them to understand their role in their kids' sports experience. So I'm curious if you have any advice as a sports parent for the folks. I do. I got plenty
When I played youth sports, I was the worst temper, and I had an awful temper. That was embarrassing. My mom and dad would be games. They wouldn't come at all. They'd come to the club, and my dad was he was always very quiet. He's getting tired, making out of baseball or doing my kids, whatever, for attention. My dad was just very patient. He didn't say anything. And once I got home, and calmed down a little bit, he talked to me. Why did you get so upset? Maybe it would be a good idea to, try to be a little less emotional or engaged. But having coached my kids in junior, I was just blown away by how many parental coaches there were in the game. And how can you possibly play at 10 years old when you got 12 people yelling at you? You got 2 coaches, you got your parents, you got 8 other families. You go ahead and the ball. The kids are going to learn just from playing and from the coach and the atmosphere, and then if you just support them as parents, they're going to be so much more comfortable. And I'm sure all of you experienced this, but to me, it's really profound the impact that my parents had to just fight, backing off, and letting me play and letting me figure things out.
So, first baseball game this year down in Boston. I'm sitting here watching. I've obviously coached my son as a junior. I coached the seniors at times too. And I was not remembering my role. I was trying to be too many roles at one time, and I probably hollered more things than I should have. And my son, and I respect him for this, he came up to me afterwards and said, "Dad, shut your mouth." And I looked at him and I said, "I'm sorry," and I won't do it again. Because of the fact that when I was a kid, I had to tell my dad the same thing. It wasn't at a game, it was after the game, and I told my dad, I said, "This is how it's going to be." He was complaining about this, that, and that. I told the story before. But I looked him in the eye, and I was a freshman, and at that point, I looked up to him. Let's say I've been growing, I looked down to him. But anyway, I just told him, I said, "This is how it's going to be after every one of my games, the rest of my high school career. I don't want you coming." And I turned around and went to bed. He was going to follow me and yell at me and various other things. And he did. And I can't imagine the conversation that went on between him and my mom after that. So when my son came up to me, I just zipped my lip and I just looked at him. I said, "Can I do one thing?" He goes, "What's that? Can I cheer your teammates on and you?" He said, "Yeah, that's fine." He said, "Just don't try to coach us from the stands." And I did. And again, I totally apologize to him. I went to the coaches and I told them, same thing, I'm sorry, I won't do this anymore. And both of them are, the one that I coached with quite a bit through the youth years, he just looked at me and goes, it's just naturalism. I said, yes. And I shut up. I'm in a different role. I'm a parent now. I need to be a parent. I need to be that spectator. I need to be the person that's going to help support the team, everybody on the team, and go from there. Athletes. 37 seniors this year played at least one sport. Of those 37, there was, I think, 8 or 9 or 10, potentially, I can't remember the exact number, that were 2-sport athletes, and of those 37, there was about the same number that were actually 3-sport athletes. But we're not even quite to halfway. We don't have the ability to have as many activities as we have without our high school athletes participating. Yes, your coaches are going to push you. All right, sometimes you may not like it, but I guarantee you it's going to help you get ready for when you are in the workforce and you have a boss that you're not doing your job, they're not going to tolerate it. And I guarantee you, your coaches are not doing it to make you be this way, they're doing it to make you better. Okay? So if you have a coach that pushes you, you might be mad now, but you're going to thank them down the road. I do that every single day of my life. I'm glad I had the coaches that I had. I learned good things from them. I learned some things I shouldn't do. More importantly, I was very, very happy that they pushed me to be the best that I could be. And that's what the coaches are here to do. Sometimes they're going to screw up. Sometimes they're going to probably say something that they regret, that they don't really want to do. They've done it many times. They might actually swear. They're not saying it directly to you, but they're trying to get your you-know-what going. But my point is that sometimes that's going to happen. And that's going to happen in life, no matter where you go. But I guarantee you, you're doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it to make you better. Right? Again, I'm not going to holler at anybody for not winning enough games or they're losing too many. But if they're not pushing you, I will have those conversations with them. Okay? So keep that in mind as you watch this next one.
You're going to be with them so much, and so I think that we look for.
So this guy is the head men's golf coach at Stanford University. He's going to talk about multi-sport athletes and the importance of it.
I personally look for kids that have played on teams. I think we get characterized in golf as an individual sport, but really it is a team sport. You're playing for your teammates. You're being held accountable by your team and your coaches. I really like kids that play other sports. I think in today's day and age, there's a lot of, what's the word? Specialization. Yeah. And I understand that because you want to get your game to a high level, but I do think that there's a sweet spot where you can really be focused, really work, and get your skill level up, and not do it 365. And I understand how big of a challenge that is, especially in our area here with all the competitiveness in the teams and that type of thing. I'm just on the front edge of a soccer, mecca in my house, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm saying all this stuff, and then I'm doing probably something different in real life. And it's hard. How do you get them to love it, play it, love it, like you want your kids to play, but then be able to say, okay, seasonal, let's keep it in category boxes here, I want you to do other stuff, and that type of thing. Just from a physical standpoint, at least on the men's side, we've had way more injuries, not many, but more injuries from the kids that are specialized. The kids overuse, lower back, rotator, shoulder issues, if all the kids done is play golf. Because there are other parts of their physical development haven't happened maybe, or that type of thing. So that's the other thing I would say about recruiting is that, I think if the best, at the end of the day, I think at a certain point, if your kid's good enough to play at the level they're trying to play, then that will shine through, even if they haven't maybe taken a traditional path.
So then,
I bought into them.
Jesus. That's innovation. All right, so that being said, obviously they're talking about, and the girls basketball coach at UW Eau Claire gave a really good speech to parents at a camp that she made. And she said, I want your daughters to play as many sports as they possibly can. Because when they come to me, that's the only thing that they're going to do. So if they only only thing they do is play basketball all the way up until they come to college, a lot of them burn themselves out. But if they're doing that, plus they're doing other things, they're giving their bodies a rest, they're giving themselves to be better athletes, they're conditioning different things that will allow them to be able to do what they really love to do then as they go into college. So again, multi-sport athletes, and again, we need the bodies here to be able to offer what we can offer. And if we don't have our athletes and they're focusing on one particular thing, probably 99.9% of the time, they're not going to get a scholarship, college scholarship anyway. Even though they're trying to go to that route. Have fun with your kids, or your teammates, have fun with your classmates. Doing this job, wearing about 90 hats in one day. I played 3 sports. I was on yearbook. I was a student council president. I was in a small school. But my point is that all of those things, I was doing, I had a part-time job. All those different things prepared me for what I do right now. Jumping, trying to readjust schedules, trying to do 90 different things at one particular time. So my point is, what I do good or not, sometimes I do probably better than others. My point is that all of those different things are going to help you as you go forward, right? Not just going to hold you back. And remember, have fun later. Work hard, enjoy the ride with your folks. Juniors that are sitting in the stands, you got 1 year left. You're going to be down the road, going on to what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Any juniors in here? I think I see a couple. I think my kid's here somewhere hiding. There he is, way up by himself there. I see Max there. All right. How fast is it gone? Yeah, you blink and you're on to the next thing. So again, enjoy it while you're here. We're here to help. I'm not here to be that big mean monster that's going to not allow you to play. That's your choice. You made the choice to do that, and I have to go on as to enforce it, right? But I'm also here to help you push forward, have fun, enjoy the ride with your folks. You know what? Carry the horse once in a while. Have some fun. Questions? I'm done. Sorry, it took me longer than I wanted. And I also needed to be explained. So questions? All right. I'll turn the lights back on, and thank you for coming. Appreciate you coming here, and have yourselves a good day. Oh yeah, stop by if you have paperwork that you need to get from Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Serbia. circuits of sport. Already pitched 2 full innings. No, you pitched. You pitched. No. I said you pitched. You pitched 2 full innings. Yeah. I think I said something up because there's I can read too because there's ED over in Unity. He's got 2 daughters the same age as Jordan and Brad. Yeah, so we would have been each this is $15 an hour. If you have two, then the way you catch it is oh yeah, that's true. Yep. Oh, okay. Yep. Oh. Yes.